I seen your video where you were talking about Crosby and Donald Trump picture sitting together watching an MMA fight. And I really loved, how you broke that down. If you go back and watch the Rush podcast where he actually is talking about this controversy, he doesn't know Trump. He's not endorsing Trump. He's not like a Republican speaker or anything like that. It's not about politics for him. Right. It was a dude invited him to sit down with him and watch a fight. He sat down and watched a fight. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Biden supporter. I'm apolitical. I don't think it really matters who's in the presidency. Some are better, some are worse, but when it comes to the Raiders, man, it's football. How has the reception on that video that you did been in the comment section and stuff from the fan base?
A lot of Trump support, which isn't surprising to me, right? I think most people have realized, between the media, between, what you're fed, and we're at the point where our country, you can't even have an opinion, right? Maxx Crosby literally put it out there to support a friend who had just gotten shot, and he lost a lot of subscribers. He lost a lot of followers. A lot of people thought crap about him as well. So I don't know. It was, I'm glad, some people will come out and support Max. Maybe they'll put it out there that we got to come behind our players, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Right. Yeah. Let's just be honest. It really doesn't matter. You can support Donald Trump. You can support Joe Biden. You can support Hillary Clinton. You can support George Bush, whoever it is. It does not matter at the end of the day.
Well, I don't know. If you support Hillary Clinton, we got issues, man. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care. She's annoying to me, but I don't care if somebody supported her or not.
Right. And I'll be the first to tell you, I am into politics. As for me personally, and I'm into politics for personal reasons. My dad's told me so many stories of how it was like when he grew up. Right? He had a cousin that was killed for protesting, right? And to me, that's kind of made me, as I gotten older, a little bit more into politics and makes me pay attention a little bit more. And, there's, and it goes both ways, Republicans and Democrats. There's a lot of people in office on both sides of the party that are just straight up, they don't care, right? They don't care about us as people. All they care about is themselves and to enrich themselves. Right. And there's people out there on both sides that call it out. Right. And those are the people I can get behind. All right. I don't want to get behind the 50-year career politicians. Right. Like Joe Biden's a perfect example of someone I would never, ever, ever support. Right. Yeah. You can't be in politics your entire life and be worth that type of money. It just doesn't make sense. There's something going on. And I'll call that out. And I don't have an issue with it. I know some people stop following me. Right. And I got that because I supported Maxx Crosby on Twitter. I supported him. I said, it doesn't make sense that you guys are essentially trying to cancel him for having his own opinion. And I'll be the first to support him. Right. I'll come out and I'll support you, even if he took the opposite approach, which, back in 2016, 2017, a lot of people did take the opposite approach against Trump. They were on the Democratic side. I had no issue with it. It's at the end of the day, you should be able to support whoever you want to support. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have a personal issue with not really even just Trump, but I have an issue with the racism that gets touted on the Republican side of the party. There's a segment within them that really loves to get into racism and make it all about whites and this and that and everything. And this is coming from a white guy. My family is not white. My wife is Singaporean. My kids are Asian. My oldest son is half black. And I had a personal incident under Bush or under Biden's administration, but I think it was a holdover from Trump's administration, where my oldest daughter, she's Singaporean citizen, but she comes over all the time on a special visa called an ESTA visa. And it's basically she can just come and go as she wishes, because Singapore is a privileged country with the United States. We have a lot of ties with them. And she's a police officer. She's all of that, you know what I mean? Outstanding citizen. But simply because she wears the headscarf, she was treated like a criminal at the Houston airport when she came in last year to vacation for a month with us. And she was not allowed to continue to Utah with us and go on vacation. She was sent back, had her ESTA visa stripped. And it all came down to because they were fishing and they wanted to know, like they were trying to accuse her of being here for work. And she's like, I don't need to work. My dad owns his own business. He gives me money. Why would I need to work? And I have a job. I'm employed in Singapore. I'm a police officer. And they're like, wait, your dad gives you money when you're here? And she's like, well, yeah, of course. Well, what does your mom do? Well, she works at home for the business. You ever help your mom? Well, of course, she's my mom. I help out around the house and stuff. So your dad gives you money, you help your mom, therefore you're making money, you're working, you're here illegally, and they send her back. A 24-hour flight to get here, 7 hours of interrogation, being locked in a cage like a criminal. And if you see my daughter, she's 110 pounds, soaking wet, the sweetest person you'll ever meet in your life, never do anything criminal. And she was a police officer in Singapore. Right. And they made her go back, and it was just and I talked to the sergeant, made all of this happen on the phone, and he was just the most ignorant, racist, control freak possible. And I got that same sentiment from immigration when me and my wife got married, and this was under the Trump administration. So for me, that's why I don't care who it is. I know Trump didn't do this personally. I know that this was this dude's personal racism and grudge and bigotry and all of that stuff. But Trump kind of put that out there about Muslims. And so that created a lot of issues for law-abiding American citizens, simply because we institute our constitutional right of freedom of religion, and anybody can be anything they want. And that's the thing that I don't like when people inject politics into the Raiders, because the Raiders is like our one place where we get away from all of that. Like when I watch a game on Sunday, I don't want to hear about some war in the Middle East or war in Ukraine. I don't want to hear about taxes going up or inflation or anything. I want to relax. You know what I mean? I want to enjoy the game. And so I think that people overblow things. And that's why I say, I think, you know what, even though that experience happened with me and my family, which was devastating for my daughter, it was humiliating for her, it was humiliating for our family. Even though that happened, I know Trump didn't do it. And if Trump was like, hey, you want to go watch a Raiders game with me up in the skybox? I'd be like, yeah, let's go. Because I know he didn't do it. And I'm not going to vote for the guy. I'm not going to vote for Biden either. I don't vote for the president because in my state, it doesn't even matter. It's automatically Republican anyway. So what's the point in me spending my time? Right. Maxx Crosby, as far as I'm concerned, you can see I got his poster right there. I have his T-shirt under here. We sell them on our store and everything. And I'll continue to do so, because I don't care if Maxx Crosby's a Republican or if he was a Democrat. I care about football. I care about him as a player. And then you can't really say anything bad about Maxx Crosby because he's never done anything but be the best that he can. Right. And then he helps a lot of people too. So I've never heard any negative about him, only positive.
Yeah, Maxx Crosby's a really, really good person. Like, you know, there's some Raiders players that I've spoken to in the past, and you just get a weird feeling from some of them. But Maxx Crosby's not that type of guy. He is a legit, genuine person. Yeah. I think it was maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. I think this was right after his second or third season. He came on my show, and he hit me up randomly. You know, like I had asked him in the past, but like we weren't able to do it. And then at some random point, he was like, "Hey, if you have time tomorrow, you know, I can come onto your show." And he's a genuine person. And, you know, I am sorry to hear that happened to your child. You know, it's unfortunate, because I think there are a lot of people in this country that, you know, they maybe they get, I don't know if brainwash is the right word, but like, you know, they hear something and they take it to like the absolute max, and they think that's exactly what's happening. Yeah. You know, people don't realize there's so many different elements to everything across that's happening. You know, it's not just, you know, one thing and that's 100% how it happens for 100% of people. Yeah. You know, there's different things for different people that are happening, you know. And I realized this. I actually, you know, I came out in support of Maxx Crosby on Twitter, and I had so many people that were like sending me DMs or sending me comments, and they were angry at Maxx Crosby, right? And hence they took that anger out on me. And they were saying things like, Sanjeet, like, Donald Trump would deport you and your family. They never let you in this country. He wants to get rid of you and this and that. And it made me realize that people actually don't understand that, like, you know, my family didn't come here illegally, right? My mom and dad waited 5 years to come into this country. They waited in India. My mom's sisters waited 12 years in India to come on this country. From the time they applied, they waited 12 years. Like, you know, think about how old you were 12 years ago. That's a long ass time. I think people also don't realize that, like, you know, people do come here illegally, of course. I know people that came here illegally. But a lot of people do it the right way too. And I think people like maybe mix the two up, because people were saying the craziest things to me on Twitter. Like, you know, take a step back and just think about the situation. There's different things that are happening. It's not just one, you know, one story or mold fits all. It's a crazy time we live in, man. I do hope the country becomes less divided, because I think that's one of the big issues that's happening right now.